all set? All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the September 25th, 2023 Planning Board meeting. This meeting is audio and video recorded as well as being on Zoom. The Zoom call-in number is 312-626-6799, and the meeting ID number is 968-06-446-784. First items of business, we'll take care of general business to start. This will be for a limited site plan for 230 Grove Street. If somebody's here, if they could represent themselves. We'll go to Amy, Department of Planning.
Sure, quick overview. It's 230 Grove Street. It's located in the industrial zoning district. They had made some site improvements on drainage and adding some of the material for storage area. The zoning officer requested that they come in and file a full site plan for the changes that they made at their site. So they are here tonight that have provided it. I believe that it's already been completed, but it's just more for the record that they show what they've done to the site. They have requested 2 waivers to allow the use of HDPE drain pipe and to allow less than 42-inch cover over drain pipes.
Okay. I'll go to Mike next from DPW. Mike, if you could, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We reviewed the site plan that was submitted, and we just had a couple of comments on it. Might be able to give you a better description of what they're actually doing there. But just some comments that we had in the plan. The proposed project involves reconfiguring some of the operational aspects of the site with the previously disturbed footprint. There's no new impervious areas that they're adding to the site. We know that 2 of the bins that was shown on the second plan as shown as an proposed condition is actually existing already, so some of that work's already been done. And then we also note that on the plans, we'd like to see a detail for a crushed stone pad around the aprons for the catch basins. They're within basically a soil area where it's a dirt area, it's not paved. So having they show crushed stone around the inlets for the catch basins. We'd like to see a detail showing that, and we'd like to see that reference in the long-term maintenance operation plan.
Mr. Goodrow, if you want to give the name and company, please.
Sure. For the record, Rick Goodrow with United Consultants. As Mike and Amy had mentioned, property is located at 230 Grove Street. Existing business that was purchased in 2020. Project was originally approved in 1997, modified in 2003. When it was purchased in 2020 and thereafter, the current owner had made some upgrades to the site, added some bin areas, and some stormwater improvements, which we identified here in red. And what they're looking to do is to add some additional bin areas here and here, and some additional stormwater improvements here that haven't been done. So that's basically an overview of what the applicant is proposing.
Okay.
Thank you.
So go to the board if anybody has any questions or comments.
Question.
Sure.
Are the materials that you're going to be storing in these bins that you're adding similar to what's being stored on site already, or is it different materials?
Similar.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good, bud.
I just have one quick question, Rick. The waiver for the 42-inch cover?
Yes.
Reason why you can't hit that? Just because you got a lot of trucks coming in and out of there,
Right.
like the site itself?
Basically, in this area here, we did soil testing and we had groundwater. We're trying to maintain a 4-foot separation of groundwater.
Okay.
So that's the reason why we asked for reduced cover.
Mike, you're okay with that?
Yeah, the materials he's using should be able to support that. They're listed to make for that amount of cover. Shouldn't be a problem.
All right. I guess we'll make a motion to approve.
Do you want me to make a motion first for the
Yeah.
waivers requested to allow the use of HDPE drain pipe and to allow less than 42 inches of cover over the drain pipes?
Okay, no, go ahead. No, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Make a motion to approve 230 Grove Street with the conditions listed in the DPW Town Engineers memo dated September 20th, 2023.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, our next line of business would be for the street acceptance for Farrington Street. If I could go to Amy at the Department of Planning, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The town's put together, it's kind of been an ongoing thing, of some of these old roads that haven't been accepted by the town. So they've put together some as-built plans for the roadway to be accepted. It goes to the planning board, which would be a recommendation towards the town council if the planning board agrees to recommend the acceptance.
Okay, good. Anybody, any questions, comments? No?
Make a motion to accept the road acceptance for, or recommend to town council that we accept the roadway for Farrington Street.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Next item of business will be for 341 Union Street. This is a slight field change with a sidewalk. If, Mr. Goodrow, if you just want to, your name and...
Sure, again, Rick Goodrow with United Consultants. There's Bob Bozzella, the owner of the property. Earlier this year, we had been in for the planning board for a site plan, and during the course of construction, they've run into some items that they've asked for field changes to be made to. We've identified them here in blue, which would be some of the stormwater connections to the roof leaders and into the underground infiltration system. Previously, we made one connection here with a proposal to run a pipe along the building based on the water and other utility connections. They've actually made a couple different connection points into the system, and they've modified the outlet slightly due to some utilities found in the street, some gas lines and other concerns with a paved island on the abutting property that actually goes into the right-of-way. And then what they also requested was some changes to the sidewalk that was located in front of the building to provide pedestrian access. Originally, we had looked at marrying the elevation of the sidewalk to the existing slab, but when they got into construction, they realized that that slab inside the building was actually sloped because it was formerly a garage. So they removed that slab and then elevated that approximately 4 to 6 inches. And they want to elevate the sidewalk as well. So thus, it'll create a curb reveal between 4 and 6 inches at those parking spaces. And we've proposed a small ramp here to provide handicap accessibility up to that concrete sidewalk area. And then additionally, they've asked for it to be extended down to the overhead door that exists to provide some further pedestrian separation. So we've added that 4-foot section of walkway as well. And the reason it's 4 feet is based on the separation to those parking spaces. We really didn't have enough room to widen it to 5 based on the field conditions. So that's an overview of the changes that we made.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mike,
Sure, Mr. Chairman. So I've been working with the site contractor for the past couple of months, and with Rick, discussing the changes regarding the drainage. There was some conflict, some underground gas line was in the way too, so no issues with the drainage changes at all. Beta's been involved with the inspections on that too, so we felt that was fine as a fair change. The modifications to the sidewalk and the extension, I have no issues with that at all, but I know that's something that the board likes to at least be aware of changes when those types of changes come to a plan. So that's why we had asked them to come in to talk to you guys tonight.
Okay, good. Anybody on the board, any comments, questions?
I'm good.
Anybody in the audience, any comments, questions? If not, I make a motion to accept the field changes for 341 Union Street per the
Second.
drawings that we have. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much. first will be an initial public hearing for a preliminary subdivision for Kimberly Ave, also known as Balsam Estates. Make a motion to waive the reading. Any second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Guess I'll go to Amy first. If you could give us a brief overview, Amy, of this one, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this is a preliminary subdivision to create 4 lots, a roadway located to extend Kimberly Ave. Just want to note that with preliminary subdivision plans, it was submitted on the 5th. The board has 45 days to render a decision or can agree with the applicant to extend a decision if both agree. They have requested 5 waivers for the subdivision. Just want to note that typically the board likes to see a subdivision plan without any waivers, which was not submitted. I also note that it was brought to our attention that there was the same plan submitted in 2005 with a different board, and I wasn't even here, that was denied due to the extension of the roadway, because it does exceed our 600-foot dead-end roadway. So I defer to the board.
Okay. I guess I'll make it brief. I know the applicants, if you want to give a brief overview, what I want to say is, I want to make sure we have the subdivision in front of us, the set of drawings that shows that it fits within the confines of the rules and regs. So we're just going to have a quick conversation on this. We're not going to discuss very much on it. Because, as Amy said, full set of drawings has to be in place before any waivers can be asked for. So we've done this numerous times throughout many sites. Just want to make sure we have that, to make sure it fits, make sure it's all meets our rules and regs first. But if you can introduce yourselves and the board.
Evening, members, Mr. Chairman. Joel DeRico here, 72 Deerview Way, Franklin, applicant. And I'm here with Amanda Cavalieri from Gerier and Hellman. This was a leftover 4-acre parcel, zoned residential 2, from the Maple Crest development. It was done probably in the late 60s or 70s. And it's a parcel that is in good shape. It has no wetlands. And because it's residential 2 without any wetlands, acres equals lots, 30,000 square foot lots. And we filed a preliminary plan. You know, I've noticed in Franklin that there is no single-family developments going on right now, with the exception of maybe 3 isolated street lots on Prospect Street on the Bellingham line. So as far as new growth is concerned for residential, I don't see any around. So I decided to file for this. If you want, I can go back to 18 years ago when I was here. And it was a straight subdivision 18 years ago. That was the application. And I wanted to connect to my 56-foot strip that I own on High Ridge Circle. And there was questions about the length. Even though Kimberly Ave is 1,400 feet long, and Madison is in similar length. There was concerns from the neighbors that it was going to be a 70-house lot development. So the process didn't go anywhere. It wasn't approved. So as time wore on, the town bought the Labasti land, and so this 4 acres sits all by itself, and it's buildable. And the plans that we submitted are for a private roadway with 22 feet of pavement, completely private, with no municipal responsibility whatsoever as to the maintenance and upkeep. It would be a homeowners association, almost like a condo project in a way. And I came in with that I can also come in with a straight subdivision if you people would prefer to let me have a straight subdivision rather than private roadway. Overlook Drive off of Pond Street is 1,200 feet long.
I saw some of the roads, they were older roads that you
Yeah,
addressed. I saw
those
them.
were the private ones, yeah. And then Bridle Path, of course, is over 3,000 feet long.
Yep.
So there are some precedents if the board's desirable to approve it. I would leave an easement, a 10-foot pedestrian easement, non-motorized, to the town land from parcel A to the north, so that folks in the neighborhoods could get to the Maple Hill land that the town now owns. And that's really about all I can say. I can answer any questions that you might have.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure the board saw the original set of, well, the set of drawings to make sure it actually fits as our rules and regs call out. Then we're gonna carry conversation on from there. So I wanted to keep it fairly brief with everybody, because I wanna make sure we had all the information we needed up front, that's all.
Does it fit?
So, no, we want it on drawing, we wanna make sure the lots, make sure the road taking's there, make sure everything's there. We've done this in the past, so.
Oh, yeah, 30
So-
years.
So you know, so, I'm not gonna take any comment from the audience yet, because we don't have all the information in front of us. This will get continued, unless, I don't even think unless the board has any serious objections. I think we just wait until we get the proper information in front of us, then we move forward with everything we have. If you can get us that information, that'd be great, then we can progress forward.
Mr. Chairman, so what
Sure.
you're asking the applicant for is a plan, a subdivision plan that shows no waivers.
Correct.
And
And
then,
that's what our rules regs state. Initially, that's what you know, you submit a set of drawings that shows that fits, then you ask for the waivers thereafter.
Should we submit the plan that was submitted 18 years ago? Because it's the same.
Well, if it's the same as that one, and if Amy or Mike reviews it, if it's acceptable, I'm sure that some things may have changed, but yeah,
The land is the same, it's the same size.
yeah. Why don't you look at the original and then just take it from there? Okay? And we'll take it from there. Is that fair to everybody?
So to be clear, that's for a public road,
Well, he wants to make it private, but I want to make sure if.
but you want to make sure it
will
meets
be
standards.
correct.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
the layout of the private, Mr. Chairman, is 56.
Yeah, but I don't know that, that's why. I want to make sure we have it on drawing. So to be
just to help a little bit more here, I
He
think
says
you're
he doesn't
asking,
have that.
you're asking for 5 waivers, correct? So I think what you're saying is show it to our standards without having to ask for these 5 waivers and make it fit on his property
Yep.
with no waivers.
Correct.
And come back to us with that plan, and if that plan from 18 years ago conforms to
Suitable.
our subdivision regs of today, then great, but if not, modify the plan from 18 years ago to meet our subdivision regulations of today, showing no waivers, correct?
Correct.
Got it, okay.
How's that for a summary?
I heard her. I heard what you
Yeah,
said, too.
Yeah, okay. So I make a motion to continue Balsam Estates to, what do we have for the next available?
This will be the last one. I mean, so we have, so I know that the board has 45 days, which would be October 20th. The next meeting is the 16th. There is a lot of hearings on that night, and then the meeting after that would be the 23rd. So does the applicant want to come in, if you don't mind if I defer to the applicant, to come in on the 16th to be ready, or to grant an extension?
Could you,
We
to
can
the
be ready
23rd?
for the 16th.
We're ready now. We can get it, but, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
okay, so we continue till October 16th,
yes.
all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Sure,
Thank you.
thanks.
Okay. Huh? Yeah. All right, our next item of business would be for the Maplegate Solar South. If anybody's here representing them, just approach the table, please, and introduce yourselves.
Yes, hi, Greg DeBona with Bowler.
You want to give us a quick brief, Greg? Oh, actually, I already know what you're going to, so I'll go to Amy first.
Sure.
No, through the chair, we got an email today that you're actually requesting to continue south and not have a discussion on it tonight. Is that correct?
That was the thought. We did see the letters that just came out last week, so we want just a little bit of time to digest them, address them, similar to how we've handled things in the past on other applications. We just want to make sure that we have all the information for you guys, so we're not just kind of spitballing tonight.
Okay, good. Everybody okay with that? Okay. Amy,
23rd.
23rd, okay. Make a motion to continue Maplegate South Solar Farm to October 23rd.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now, we'll go to our next item of business, which would be the Maplegate North Solar. Okay. Approach the mic and table and introduce yourselves again, please.
Yes, thank you. Greg DeBona with Bowler. I'm here with Allison Fennell from Brown Legal as well. And we have Daniel Server from NextGrid, who's with us on Zoom. I see him right there on the screen, so thank you, Daniel, for coming through good.
All right, and we have Gary from Beta on Zoom as well. So I guess I'll go to Amy first for this. Amy, if you could give us a brief overview again.
Sure, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just kind of some remaining comments that I know that the board was interested in seeing is the decommissioning bond, which they have supplied, which includes the tree replacement. I've suggested two conditions. One is putting the pilot program together with the town, and the second is getting the surety bond in place as well. And those would be prior to any building pre-construction meeting.
Okay. I'll go to Mike from DPW. Mike, if you have any questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman, all our previous comments on the site plans themselves were addressed, so we didn't have anything else on that. I'll defer to Beta if they had any outstanding drainage issues, but I think most of those have been taken care of, but I'll let Gary speak to that. We didn't review the decommissioning plan, so I had nothing to add to that.
Okay. Mr. Gary from Beta.
Yeah, Greg, pretty much all of our comments were addressed. I think we have one little correction on the detail associated with the gravel road. Just like to see the base extended to the shoulders, but other than that, that's pretty much it. They've answered every one of our questions. The sorry about that. The test pits were done. Everything's fine with the detention basin. There's no remaining issues associated with that. So with that, I'll hand it back to the commission, to the board.
Okay, thank you. Quick question, Conservation Commission, all set?
Yes, it's been approved.
Okay. I saw the decommissioning. I guess I'll go to the board first, because I have one question about the decommissioning. Does anybody have any questions or comments, preference?
Through the chair, the numbers of the anticipated cost for the decommissioning, who put together that estimate? Was it estimators or general contractor?
Yeah, I'll let Daniel answer that, because Daniel and his firm spearheaded that effort.
Yeah, so these numbers were extrapolated from a decommissioning plan that we received for a similar project that was put together by Atlantic Design Associates. So they essentially had a calculation that they used that showed the number of panels and the number of acreage. So I just used that information to take their numbers and apply them to this project.
Okay, and through the chair, in terms of the 1.5% inflation over 20 years, that just seems low to me. I'm just wondering if that percentage of inflation increase, how that number was derived, whether it's from historical data, recent data, or it's sort of a best guess. I guess my concern is with construction costs, particular inflation, which is a different scale project, this is very different, but generally being much higher, that I don't want to miss capturing anticipated cost of how this total was derived, and then I guess just generally, what if it's more than 20 years? That's my other question for this to happen, and then there's even more of a differential between this total versus what it may end up costing. That's all.
So,
Sure, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, yeah, so the 1.5% number we had come up with a few years ago, that was based on historical data of, wage increases over the previous 20 to 30-year period. This has been the most common comment we've gotten recently about decommissioning plans because of recent, big increases in inflation. I don't want this to be a sticking point. We can raise this to 2.5%, if that'll please the board, and we can just add that in the condition.
I would feel better about that personally, but I defer to the rest of the
Sure.
board.
You comfortable? Mike? That's it? Rick? Okay, I agree. Okay, that'll work for us. I apologize, can you describe how many trees on this phase? How many trees per acre that was gonna be?
So Greg can tell you how many
Yeah.
were lost, but I can tell you in the plan that the amount of tree replacement that we put in here was
I don't have it in front of me.
500 trees at a 4-foot height, as well as 10 pounds an acre of seed. So that's 500 trees and a lot of pounds of seed.
So that was the equivalent of, I think it was like a $50,000 bond for the tree replacement?
Yeah,
if I
that's
remember
right. There
correctly?
was a component to the trees themselves, which were just 50,000, and there was a
Then the-
landscape kicker for seeding and stabilization as well.
Okay. I
So,
was just,
yeah, before inflation, the total cost is $75,500 for trees and seed.
okay. Am I correct in saying, I think you had estimated 20 trees per acre on this one?
That's correct. It was
Seemed a little
roughly.
low to me, that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, and
Because
so,
the golf course itself cut and cleared stuff in between, so when you said you Googled it, you may have
Yeah.
gotten what's there now, but
Well,
I've played that
that's
course
correct.
numerous times, so, I
so
don't know if we can give us a few more trees, if that's feasible. We're seeing a lot more solar farms, so this is like setting precedent for the regrowth
yeah.
for these, solar farms as time goes.
So what yes, if you've been to the course, you've seen that there's the areas especially kind of in between fairways,
Correct.
where it's a pretty thin stand of trees.
So you
Right.
can play out of them. Yep.
Right, that's right, because you want to be able to play through them and play out of them, et cetera.
Play man.
So, when we took the area calc that justified the 10 acres, that was utilizing the outer edge of the drip line of the trees. So it included a pretty large area, when then inside that area, you might only have a couple trees in that pocket. So what we did was, we had a really kind of high definition aerial. We went through and had somebody manually count the tree. You could actually see the trees that were pretty much anything above like a 6 or 8 inch caliper would show up well in the aerial. And we did the subtotal, and that's how we got roughly about 200 trees coming out. And then we just factored in like a 2.5 replacement rate, so that's where you get the 500 trees, 2.5 per one. I'm sure we could, if the board felt it needs to be a little bit more, I'm sure we can add some more trees. We would have, that roughly about that 40 acres of area that's gonna get kind of restabilized. And of course, our intent is just to put some plants out there to help kind of start the the reforestation process, not just obviously replant 40 acres, so.
Sure. How's the rest of the board feel?
Love to see a
Maybe
few more
James,
trees,
a few
yeah.
more to put in? or-
Probably wouldn't hurt.
Just know I love my
You
trees.
okay?
Do we have a number of what you're anticipating, or a dollar amount, or?
No, I'm just, 20, I'm thinking, 30, 40, well, you're going what, 2.5-inch caliper?
It's,
On the
it's,
replant?
it's based on the height, which was only about a 4 to 6 height in installation, which is closer to about a 1.5-inch caliper.
Okay.
And we were proposing 500 trees
Okay.
to go back.
As a trajectory, what about using the density of trees in the forested area around the golf course rather than within it?
Well, that's what kind of was, yeah, and I was gonna defer to Gary too, to see what Gary and Mike's thoughts were. Gary, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I'm here, Greg.
Yes, Gary, about the, number of trees for the Maple Gate, what are your thoughts with that?
I mean, my thoughts were 40 per acre, 1 per 1,000 square feet, which roughly about 40 per acre. So if you're looking at that, looking at 40 acres, but obviously you're not gonna replant all 40 acres. I
Correct.
believe the overall area was what, 10 or 11 acres, so that would have been like 44, so 50 trees, but, now I'm looking at, maybe 2.5-inch caliper, which would comply with the requirements under the subdivision regulations. You're getting into a little larger tree rather than a 4-foot tree or inch and a half.
So, even compromise, go 30?
So, you're talking about replacing at a rate of 30 per acre?
Correct, rather than just the 20.
So, so in our calc, we were saying we were coming out 20 per acre, but we were replacing roughly 50 per acre, because we were putting back 500 trees.
My apologies, I read it.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is I was assuming taking out 20, but putting back 50
Okay.
for every 20.
Okay. Yeah, no, my apologies, I read it as one coming out, and the other one going in.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
Gary,
no.
you're good with that number then?
But there's a significant difference in caliper is what
Yeah,
Gary
the
was
caliper
referring
size
to.
making the difference.
Yeah.
And, but that is, that
Yeah.
is correct, and that's why we
Okay.
did a 2.5 per tree,
Yep.
so that we could get more of the smaller trees, which is actually kind of better with the whole successional, establishment that we're trying to go for. So
Okay.
we did talk about, do we do like 300 trees but 2.5 to 3-inch caliper, or do we go more trees but smaller size? And,
Okay. I'm actually comfortable with that then. I just want to make sure they weren't just, tiny little saplings.
Right.
That's all.
Yep.
Gary, you good with that?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am, Greg.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have any care as to the species?
I think that was gonna be my next question
Yeah,
too, is there?
Specific species or numerous?
No, so most of the trees that are out there, it's a combination of pines and oaks, pretty popular successional trees, so that's what we're looking to replace. So basically
Replacing
native
kind.
species, things that would naturally, reforestate that area of the land over time.
Okay. So do what, 50-50 split on that?
I'm not an expert.
I'm looking at him.
So,
Yeah. do
that's a
50
tough one, because what happens is the white pines grow a lot quicker than the hardwoods, and they choke out the hardwoods.
Yeah.
Unless you space them.
Yeah. It's probably that.
So,
Mixed forest is what we have around here a lot, but not really a forestry expert, so.
yeah.
I don't know, I think mixed forest is probably the way to go.
Yep.
And maybe you go heavy actually on the hardwoods over the pines, so they can compete a little bit heavier.
So 75-25?
Yeah, like
On the
2/3, 1/3.
May I make a suggestion?
Sure.
What about working with the tree warden to determine the
Yeah,
percentage?
something like that.
That might be a good idea.
Somebody knows more about it.
Yeah.
Tree rates, because a mixed forest would be best.
Yeah,
So
mixed.
you'd want them both.
Sure.
But, how you get there in a healthy fashion is not my
Okay.
expertise.
Okay,
Works for us,
okay.
not a problem.
All right.
Uh,
Anyone in the audience?
Anybody in the audience? Anybody on Zoom? Any
Uh,
questions?
Sorry, one thing, clarity
Oh, I'm
that Allison
sorry.
wants to bring up, because Amy did mention a little bit earlier about the pilot, and we've had some communication
Yes.
with the town administrator. We just want to make sure we're
Yes,
Clear on
so we did speak with the town assessor, we asked his opinion. He actually let us know that he did not think a pilot would be appropriate for this project. He suggested a tax agreement would be more applicable here. He said that because the real estate is not tax exempt, a tax agreement would provide more certainty and predictability as to the solar farm's equipment for the personal property, and still valuing the real estate that the solar facility is on top of at full and fair cash value. He then directed us to the town administrator, stating that Mr. Helen would be taking the lead on any discussions going forward. So we did reach out to the town administrator. He looped in town council as well as Mr. Doyle, and said that he would go through with us the other tax agreements that the town has in place, so that we can kind of find a pathway forward that works for everyone. We are more than happy to work out a tax agreement that's beneficial for everybody, and we're just hopeful that, you know, given that we've started this engagement and we're going to be working through that with the town administrator, that we can hopefully move forward on that issue, and it won't be any, you know, component that's preventing any type of vote or going forward on this.
Everybody okay with that? Amy, you're okay with?
Yeah, I think what I'll do is I can touch base with our town administrator and Kevin at the assessor's office and determine how to kind of set this in as a condition. I'd still recommend.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, how do we?
I would
kind of
recommend
wait
it
to
be, you know, the applicant will work out a tax agreement with the town prior to the start of construction,
Okay,
or
as part of-
something like
as part
that,
of a
you know?
condition.
Yes,
Okay.
as part of a condition.
We weren't sure which way that was gonna go, that's why. Okay.
I guess the only other comment, Mr. Chairman, is where they're at with Lot 2 for the public access.
Okay.
I can also provide an update on that. We also did speak to town administrator on that as well. We went through the parcel itself and the access as it relates to coming off of Maple Street and across the neighboring solar facilities property. So we discussed with him what our easement capabilities are with respect to our property, and once the project is built, as well as that initial access coming across where Maplegate Realty Trust presently has an easement. So we spoke with him about how the town will need to work with the neighboring property owner and facility owner to talk about that specific portion of the roadway from the street on Maple Street over to where it touches Maplegate Realty Trust property and the borderline of our development. And he actually most recently let us know that he would like us to open the dialogue with the neighboring parcel and the owner and start talking about working with the town about the town's own particular easement for access across that road.
Okay. That sound okay, Amy?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's up to the board. I gotta follow up with the TA because I haven't heard back on where they stand with that. I
Okay.
know it is an important piece to these properties, both of them, north and
Are
south.
we accessible from the other site if need be? The adjoining
No,
site?
I do not believe. From south, you're not accessible to Lot 2.
No.
It's literally in
It's
the
more
middle, it's in
towards
the
the
middle of
center.
north and
Yeah,
south,
if I
pretty
remember, it's more
much.
towards the center of the
It
site.
is, yeah, is
Okay.
where it is.
Okay. Go
Just
ahead.
kind of on that comment, well, I think it is an important part of this plan and something that, you know, working out easements and that kind of negotiations can take time sometimes, so I'm wondering if it can be something, a condition indicating that, you know, the applicant and town will work together to provide appropriate access to Lot 2. Maybe come back to the board to discuss findings after the fact, but
Okay.
I think, I mean, our town staff can probably work pretty well with the applicant to figure out the access, and then when they figure out what they want to do with, you know, whatever the public access and the recreation kind of area is, come back and give us an update.
Everybody okay
Yeah.
with that?
Yeah, because otherwise,
We
we could be here for another year.
Well, yeah, because
Yeah.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
that piece is basically, they're giving it to the town, so we wanna make sure the town's not holding you guys up as well on our behalf. Okay. So as I see, no one in the audience and no one in Zoom, make a motion to,
Do you want to make a motion on conditions?
yeah, you wanna make a motion on a couple of conditions?
I think I got them. So make a motion for the following conditions to the plan, that the Town administrator will work with the applicant to establish a tax agreement prior to construction. And make a motion for the, let's see, surety bond. Did we determine that amount for the surety bond?
Maybe to be revised as suggested
With the two,
with
with
the
2 point-
escalation adjusted and the tree
2.5%.
Total.
So the surety bond will be adjusted to reflect a 2.5%
Escalation.
escalation, and
clause,
then
yeah.
Work with the tree warden to appropriately disperse the number of trees that were indicated on the plan for
Yep.
Okay.
escalation. Okay, and to provide a plan for Lot 2 public access and recreation, and the applicant will work with the town to complete needed access and easements and come back to the board when appropriate to discuss recreation opportunities.
Yeah, after everything's
Yeah.
worked out through the town. Yep, okay.
Second
Second.
to all of those?
Yeah, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Make a motion to approve Maple
Do you want to
Gate.
close? You're
Look,
gonna
close.
close the
Make a
Make a
motion to
motion
close
to
this
close the
public
public hearing for
Did
Maplegate.
we, sorry, did you ask if anyone, yeah, okay, sorry, second.
Did you say no? Yeah, I was just in the process. Yeah, so make a motion to close Maplegate North site plan for the solar farm.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Make a motion to approve the site plan for Maple Gate Solar North.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All set.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate this process, and you guys have been excellent to work forward with, and we'll be back to talk more
Thank
next
you.
time with this out.
Appreciate
Thank
you
you.
Thank you
working
so
with
much.
us as well.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. And this will be our last item for the night, which will be the continuation of public hearing for 100 to 200 Financial Way. Want to make sure everybody's aware, this is traffic only tonight. Just discussion of traffic. We want to try to get this traffic thing squared away. So, that being said, I'm going to go to Amy first for Department of Planning. If you can give us a brief update, please.
Sure, thank you, Mr. Chairman. We actually, with Beta, with Mike, myself, we did meet, last week, kind of to discuss options, that the applicant had as far as traffic goes for the King Street and Washington entrance, or intersection, and then the Washington Street entrance of coming out to prevent the trucks from coming all the way over, crossing 2 lanes of traffic. They've come up with a plan. They've showed us your King Street and Washington Street intersection has limitations just due to the amount of property that the town owns without going onto private property to expand that intersection, so that's a little bit tougher. So they've come up with a plan to try to, a little bit wider to try to assist the trucks within the turning radius. As far as coming out of the site, Financial Way onto Washington Street, they've been able to expand that, so they have a wider turning radius to get onto Washington Street and not have to go into 2 lanes of traffic.
Okay, thank you. You know what, we'll just open up the discussion. If you just want to introduce yourselves, and then we'll get Vader and traffic consultants involved. But if you want to give another update, Doctor, if you could, please.
Sure, Mr. Chairman, for the record, Doug Hartnett, Principal at High Point Engineering. Joining me this evening is Brendan Pellerin, applicant, Berkeley Partners. To my left is Dan Mills, Principal with MDM Transportation, our traffic consultant. Also on the line is Connie Liu, our project manager, Andy Ramirez, also with Berkeley. So I had a presentation, Amy, but I lost the HDMI behind the monitor there, if there's a way that you might be able to assist with retrieve. I couldn't figure out all the wires back there.
The cord fell behind the
What-
television.
Yeah, I
What do you mean? Were you on?
I popped it off of this and it slipped out of my hand and went and rolled back behind the monitor that's there.
So do we need to remove the monitor?
No, I can't find it.
The
There's
cord's behind the
card.
TV, he just can't find
There's
which one
cords,
is
there's
turning
cords all
cord.
over the place.
Chris,
I didn't want to interrupt the proceedings,
Okay.
so I apologize for
he's
that.
looking for a loose cord.
Yeah.
The cord that would go, you want to go?
It's the
into this one?
HDMI that was, thanks. Yeah.
That's $50 right there.
Fell forward. You couldn't find it, Doug, because it fell forward.
Amy, thank you for coming tonight.
I'm always working backwards. So, Dan, did you want to run this? This is your presentation. I don't know if it helps to have the screen down for,
So to do the screen, you have to be connected to the other computer. The one in front of you, our computer,
The one
our
that's
laptop.
closed.
The one that's closed.
No, the other
No,
one.
the one in front of you,
In front of
Doug.
Doug,
Right
in front of
The
Doug.
one you took it out of.
I've done this before and I've been able to
Or
see
you can put it on Zoom.
All right, this is becoming
So
complicated.
whichever,
All right, so I'm back to
It's
this.
back to plugging back
What are you
into the
doing?
original
Yeah,
you
do
want to
that?
go on the,
Big screen.
projector.
We'll do it on yours, and we have his
Okay.
thumb drive. Apologies for this, Mr. Chairman, we thought we had it set up, but. So if we do this.
Amy's got it.
Yep.
Oh. Yeah. I know. That's right there.
Right. Let's see what we got here. So that's off now, isn't it? USB
Yeah.
drive. I can't plug it together. What is going on here? I'm cursed. You have to take it from here. This.
I hope the traffic flows better than this.
I didn't design the traffic. It probably works great.
Godspeed with that.
I couldn't resist, I'm sorry.
I just need to know, okay, to advance.
You can just do that.
Okay, good evening. My name is Daniel Mills, Principal Traffic Engineer with MDM Transportation Consultants. I presented to this board a couple prior meetings discussing the traffic impact study that we conducted for the property. We heard some feedback from the board, but we also heard had some interactions with your peer review consultant in the form of some comments that were received, and then a response to comment letters that were issued by us. Most recently was October 8th comment letter, and we replied back to that comment letter, and subsequent to that, your consultant Beta issued a letter on September 14th, which we in turn responded to that in a September 20th response to comment letter. That's our latest one. I'm assuming that your peer review consultant has not had a chance to review that, but I'll leave that for them to speak on. Again, we did meet with them last week as indicated. So it's, we've sort of focused in, based on some of the feedback that we've heard from the board and also your peer review consultant, we've focused in on two intersections. One is the signalized intersection at Washington and King, and the other is the site driveway, Frank Washington at Financial Park. What's on the screen here is the King Street at Washington Street intersection. And one of the concerns, the primary concern, is that vehicles today, as they travel, or trucks actually, tractor trailers, as they travel down Washington Street to take a left at the traffic light, there's been instances where they're rolling over or tracking over the island, the raised island at the intersection. So we were asked to present some plans that would address that condition. And we're talking about 98, 99% of the trucks navigate that intersection without any issues. The small percentage that do roll over the nose of the island. So we're looking to obviously better facilitate that movement. And one of the ways that we had proposed to do that was to eliminate the raised portion of the island altogether and install a rumble strip to provide guidance through the intersection, but to take out that raised component so the tractor trailers weren't rolling over it. There was some comments from the board and also from your peer review consultant that was not acceptable to the town. So we went ahead and developed another concept, basically maintaining the bulk of the island, but proposing a feature on the nose on both ends of the island that would allow trucks to mount over it. You see these really at roundabouts. You see there's a truck apron. So it's not the full 6-inch vertical curb. It's more of a 3-inch rounded curb or beveled edge that tractor trailers can roll over and not get caught up on. So this is the type of treatment that the applicant has committed to constructing, if that's the wishes of the town. And again, the surface treatment itself is in this red here. This is the mountable area. This is the mountable curb. And this could either be scored concrete, it could be a stamped concrete. It's really what the town desires. Also, previously committed at this intersection was the repair or replace the traffic vehicle detection system. Today it's malfunctioning, causing some delays in queuing on the roadways, and there's a commitment to upgrade that and repair it to a video detection system that's being sort of the town standard for vehicle detection at intersections. So the applicant is also committed to doing that work. So with the truck, so a truck that comes down Washington Street exiting the site and then turning left, this area here can be mounted. And again, the majority of trucks have no problem making that movement. The small percentage do get caught up in, which we believe that's resolved with this concept. And this is the entering trucks. This is a right turn truck traveling on King Street, turning right, heading towards the site. There's really no impact to that movement. And then work at Financial Park Drive in Washington Street. Today, this is in red is what is being proposed, but trucks, when they swing out of Financial Park Drive, because of the radius of the corner, they are swinging out into the opposing travel lane. So we are proposing to shift the driveway to the north. There are some utility structures here that we're not looking to impact, so we're proposing to shift the driveway to the north, widen the driveway, realign it a bit, and this provides a much more maneuverable area for trucks. And in the next slide, you can see that with this type of improvement, the realignment and widening, the truck can swing out of the site and maintain in that one lane, or in the travel lane, without encroaching onto the opposing traffic. What we're also proposing is to make some improvements internally to accommodate the truck tractor-trailer truck movements that are occurring at 300 Financial Park as well, so that the interaction between the roadway is better suited for the truck traffic internal to the site. And then I just have a detail here. This is in the site plans themselves. This is oriented a little differently. This is Washington Street, but this provides some more detail of the widths, the striping, where curbing is proposed, pavement is proposed, and the layout within the site. That's generally my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions from the board or your consultant.
I guess we'll go to, let's go to Mike first from DPW. Mike, based on what you've seen, what are your thoughts?
So, Mr. Chairman, there's, looking at the two locations, first with the site driveway, when we saw that widening it out, shifting the island over a little bit to accommodate more room there, it appears that will work to help get the trucks in and out of there onto Washington Street. One thing we had suggested is on the area, looking at that plan there on the bottom section where that striping was, we talked originally that was going to be just striping. We talked maybe trying to do that minimally raised island there too. One concern I have with that is just all the drop-offs from all the regular vehicles, for the drop-offs from the school, parents dropping kids off, coming in and out of there, taking a wide turn there and just coming onto it pretty quick. Having that a little more channelized to slow vehicles taking that turn and keeping them more concentrated to where they actually should be coming out there. The extra room is mainly designed for the truck traffic there. So I don't know if that would actually work, having that raised up. I think that was something we talked about at the meeting. That was my main comment on that particular one. On the intersection at King and Washington, the traffic signal, the proposed improvements would be make an improvement over what's there today, getting those trucks through there. One concern I have is that with the addition of 2 warehouses, there'll be a lot more truck traffic than that's there now. So that will improve the existing conditions, but the proposal does increase a vast amount of trucks coming through that intersection, which I'd be concerned about any additional problems in the future there. They had looked at one section about widening the right-hand side of that off more to make the right turns more. I think from one of the truck movements, the truck taking the right turn onto Washington there was almost in the middle of that Gore Island. They had to take a wide sweeping turn there. In order to make that work, there would have to be a requirement to actually take private property there. I did reach out to the property owner, just had an initial conversation, and they didn't seem to be too enthused with the project and weren't really interested in granting any types of easements or anything like that. So I don't think that's really a possibility in this particular case. But for the most part, those are my observations of what the equipment proposing.
I guess we'll go to Beta. Gary, and I know.
Yes. So
Yeah,
I
I
should
know
have said
you're
that
here too.
Jacqueline's here from
Jacqueline's
Beta.
here as
She's
well, yep.
their traffic consultant.
I just didn't know if Gary wanted to chime in on anything first before I went to Jackie, and then you were gonna hang it up, but why don't you go?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I echo Mike's comments, and also the initial, the original, the Financial and Washington Street intersection. We had talked about a mountable area where all those hatch marks are on the west side of Financial Park. The median, I was curious how much shorter it is than, because you're right, I haven't formally addressed the comments that we received last week, but if maybe that Gore area in front, we could have some sort of flush scored concrete there just to, guide the vehicles around so we avoid that maybe crossover of the traffic. And yeah, I think, Mike, you've summarized the comments great, and I don't really have anything else to add.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious about the intersection at King and Washington Street, what your thoughts were with what land was there to take for the road improvement.
Yeah.
Obviously, that'll open up the throat of the entrance there. You think it's getting to where we want to be?
So I would like to add that one of my comments for the last round was to really show us what the impacts would be to accommodate the necessary vehicles that do, and will continue to maneuver around the intersection. So they did provide that
Okay.
for our review or comment.
And Mike, I guess question to you would be, to the right of that intersection, with the new light went in and the stone wall, there's no room there to grab a little bit of room on that side?
Are you talking about in front of my property, sir? Is that the right side, or are you talking about in front of
No.
Palmer's? I just want to know, looking at the map, I don't understand.
Just the right side of the intersection where the stone wall is. Is there any room there to
So-
try to open it up a teeny bit, or no?
For the most part, I think, right now, the existing conditions pretty much use up all the available right of way through there. There's not a lot of room to expand that much more.
I thought you had said that, okay, so the only.
Looking on the plan, the right-hand side there, where the inside of that tight turn, that's pretty much right at the back, right at the, right away. The back of sidewalk's right at the, right away now.
Yep.
On the left-hand side, where Coles Tavern used to be there in that particular property, I don't believe there's any additional room there to do anything there either.
Approximately, I just looking at the drawings, approximately how many feet are we looking at with the taking of the guardrail and the reconditioning of the sidewalk? Approximately how many feet is that on the right side of the site?
On the right-hand side?
Yeah,
of the-
with it, on the last proposed, the attachment A4. You have it, it's hashed out in red.
I think that was probably,
Approximately how many feet are we looking at right there to open this thing up a bit, if need be?
judging from the plan that you're referring to that's in the materials, I'd say that's probably about 10 to 12 feet or so
Okay.
from the existing.
That sound about,
It could be a little bit more with your sloping back down to,
I'm just talking about from the curb line to the
Yeah.
proposed curb line.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
going, because of the grade difference, the actual impact would probably go beyond that.
it's just,
Yeah.
just trying to see how much more you're able to gain to make this work if it's gonna happen, that's all.
I think you'd probably need like maybe 15 to 20 foot strip through there
Okay.
to get all the grading
But
done.
you're still working that out anyways, right?
Well, at this point, Mr. Chairman, we're focusing on what we can control within the right-of-way itself, as was presented by Dan. To your point about what's the width, if there was a widening of the roadway, as we said, you have a sidewalk, we want to accommodate, you have additional pavement curb to curb. There's a significant grade drop between the edge, what would be the edge of the new roadway edge and the abutting property, not to mention the fact that the single-family residence is not too far from that location as well. It's not a vacant lot. So all these factors need to be looked at. You can't just look and say, well, it's just a piece of land. In reality, it's private property with a residence that's within close proximity to where the widening would have to be.
Through the chair.
Yeah, let's start at the end first, I guess. Jay, if you want.
Yeah. Have we explored all using the west side of the intersection? I understand there's retaining walls there, but it is in the right of way.
The retaining walls.
What's up?
The retaining walls.
Yes, correct. I mean, there's a pretty large chunk of right of way there. We'd have to move the retaining walls, but it's in the right of way.
Is it the new light stanchion there too, Mike?
If you have to move it, you have to move it.
Yeah, no, I'm just
Right.
asking, yeah.
I believe there is a mast, there's one mast on that side there.
I
Yep.
believe there is, okay.
Yep.
But
And that's a traffic control cabinet. And that wall was moved back, but when the school came in and the last warehouse modified and installed the traffic signal, that wall was rebuilt, pushed further back when that went in.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to see something like a slip lane go in, but, I mean, it seems like we got some room over there to play with, and we have none on the east side. And then, I just want to voice my strong objection to anything mountable. Typically, when I've put anything mountable in, it's when we've absolutely positively run out of right-of-way, and we got nothing left. And that's not, until someone shows me, I understand this is a ton of work to reconfigure the west side of the intersection, but until someone shows me that that's impossible, I will absolutely not encourage the board to consider anything else.
so through the chair?
Sure.
So with regards to widening, there's a steep slope in here, so anything that goes beyond this existing curb line to the west starts encroaching into this property in order to,
That's why
No, I
there's
meant
in order
retaining
to
wall
trans-
there.
I meant the other side of the street when I was
Yeah, no, I mean, that's why there's a retaining wall there, so
Yeah.
you might have to push the retaining wall right against the back of the right of way.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's why I was asking Mike, how many feet were left behind that to
might
play
do
with
some
this
serious
big?
civil work in that area
So-
to get this to work out.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, so on the right-hand side, there is no more available right-of-way, it's right at the back of the existing sidewalk. On the left-hand side there, the driveway that Dan was just pointing to is sort of a control point, because we couldn't modify that driveway
Yep.
anymore that was done last time, because it is pretty steep right now. So if there was any widening on that side, it'd have to be from the end of that driveway down into the intersection. And at the angle, I mean, I'd leave it up to Dan to see if there's a possibility to get any improvements there, but I don't know if you could, based on the angles of those turns, I'm not sure.
You got a lot more room there than you get anywhere else. You could potentially move, you're talking about them rotating the peanut a little bit clockwise. You know,
You
Through
may
the
help.
chair.
Could, yeah,
Can I ask
could you?
just a follow-up question
Yeah.
related to all this discussion? Right now, were 2 sidewalks that were started, new sidewalks going onto Washington Street on either side that dive into nothing, that are frankly unsafe if someone's trying to cross the road because you can't see them come around the corner to get to that sidewalk. I guess my question through the chair to you, Mike, is, and Jay, you probably know this too, but the long-term plan for the sidewalk, complete streets on Washington Street, is it to have just one sidewalk the full length of Washington Street? So, and if that's the case, then why provide 2 sidewalks going into Washington Street and not just start off with the one so we can gain the width of the sidewalk to the right-of-way on at least one side of the street? I don't know what the long-term master plan is for which side of the street that sidewalk sort of starts on at this intersection.
Through the chair, so looking at the intersection, the idea for the, would be one sidewalk continuing off Washington Street to connect to 495, and we'd be looking at this plan to be on the right-hand side, is what our initial preliminary engineering showed. That would make the most sense. When the signal was installed a few years ago, the sidewalk on the left-hand side was continued around to the driveway just to help make a connection to the business that was existing at the time, just to make it, in case there were any pedestrians there, trying to make a connection on that. That was at that time, that was the thought behind it.
Yeah, I guess what I'm getting at is maybe we should, especially not knowing what's gonna happen to the business, what's gonna happen with curb cuts related to the business and that site, should we focus and instead making sure that sort of the long-term plan for this intersection is working with the sidewalk, kind of long-term master plan for how it is completed on Washington Street, and take advantage of possibly eliminating it on one side and improve it instead on the side that long-term it wants to be on, from a safety perspective. Just throwing it out there. I don't know the answer, but.
so basically terminate the sidewalk, no sidewalk on the west side of Washington Street, and just have it continue through up King, Washington to King, and gain the 5 feet of room on that side. I don't, if it's gonna help them with their work, I think that's a good idea. Okay, I mean, you only need, especially if you gotta start shifting everything else around there, I'm not sure it's gonna be too pedestrian happy anyway, so. And, as you said, long-term plan, sidewalks on the other side of the road. If that site really wants a sidewalk, it can put one on itself, So I wouldn't be opposed to eliminating that stretch of sidewalk on the west side of Washington Street if it helped accommodate trucks. If we start having to talk about moving things around pretty heavily there.
Could you do me a favor and go to the A4 drawing? Could you go to the A4 drawing? It's the very last one. No, this would be the very last, this is the very last page in your packet.
It's the one with the 4 tractor trailers on it.
Yeah, the very
Just gotta
last
scroll all
page.
the way down.
Here it is.
No,
No, no.
It's the side entrance.
keep going. Keep going.
That's
I
it.
think his
Last
package is
one.
different than ours.
He has it back.
So-
Attachment A4, auto turns
The que-
analysis at the intersection.
what I'm looking for is, you have a drawing in here, and it's part of the, this is the land acquisition easement concept plan. I don't think it's in there. What I'm trying to find is, it's part of that, yes, but it's not highlighted. The inside right, it looks like you have the rework of that inside radius, so, yeah, right, if you wanna just go to that one as an example. This drawing, you have 4 trucks in the, I don't know why this one's not in that.
It almost looks like they.
But on the
right-hand
inside,
side.
but on the tight right inside of that, right there, it shows as if it's being reworked.
That's right.
Is that correct?
That's not proposed, that's illustrative on what would, I think the comment from Beta, comment number 16 on their September 14th memo.
Because what I saw was in red was a change, and I'm looking at that as being a change. That's why I'm trying to figure out, I mean, if I'm lost a little bit, but I'm seeing a drawing that doesn't represent that. I just want the rest of the board to see what I think I'm seeing.
So the A4 that was handed to me, this one is, what it does is it keeps this movement here. It encroaches into the right, it encroaches into the right turn lane itself. So I think the question, and maybe Jacqueline can clarify, but the question was to provide a plan that shows that the truck doesn't encroach into the right turn lane. And that's what that was intended to accomplish, is a visual to show how that tractor trailer could stay in the right turn. It would require shifting the island over, providing more space for this, basically right in this area where the island is today. But what that does is it narrows this up such that you would need to widen out onto this side to accommodate the right turn truck.
Okay, that's what I'm seeing on this, that's why.
So that was the answer, that was specific to a question that they had
Okay.
posed.
Because I think potentially that could help the whole situation there. If-
But what they're saying is you can't because it's private property.
So
Again,
that's the private property that we're speaking of, that's not within road taking.
correct.
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 That's what I was referencing, how many feet back you were gonna go.
Correct.
You said, okay, all right. My
And that was the-
apologies. It just didn't make sense with what I'm seeing here and there.
And
That's
that was
all.
the 15 to 20 that we were talking about. Yep.
Okay.
And if I can just, if I could clear, oops.
Yeah, go ahead, Jay. No, I just, I was thinking that was part of our easement, that was something workable, which could make this work.
I think the east side is, and if the property owner doesn't want to budge, that's a real, like, we're talking, let's keep that as the last possible solution, and then let's look at other ones first. Things that are more in our control. I guess the only other question I had was, under the optimized condition that you guys are presenting, is there still encroachment on the right-hand turn lane?
Yes.
So, how many trucks a day were you looking at here?
It was 160.
About 100, yeah.
Over how many hours?
No, they said 180 at the first meeting, I'm sorry.
So,
it's
say that's
yellow
over,
like
say it's
that.
over 18 hours, right, and we have like a 6-hour, midnight to 6 or something, and trucks don't get there.
Yep.
So that's 10 trucks an hour, so that's one truck every 6 minutes, so 20% of light cycles are gonna get jacked up by a truck trying to take a turn. I don't know if that's cool either. That's a pretty high percentage of interference for turns, so I definitely think we should look at trying to accommodate all the movements here just as they should be.
Okay, Jacqueline, obviously you guys are gonna look into that too, based on the amount of trucks, that's our fair with this one.
Yeah, so what they had presented the last time was, I was a little confused by it also. So they had showed one plan with the median as shown in this, and then they showed another plan with red marking to show like a slightly shifted sidewalk on the right-hand side. So that's why the question came about of, can you just show what it would take to really accommodate all the trucks at this? Because this is a minor, improvement to the intersection to accommodate the trucks. So.
Okay. Go ahead.
You just want to clarify 2 points. One to the widening within the available right-of-way. So the point was that we did, the sidewalk was carried up to serve this property. If it was eliminated, in theory, it could be used to accommodate a truck, widen that approach area to a truck. But the widening really needs to take place back in this area as well. It's a tractor trailer, it's not a short vehicle. So it really needs to start aligning itself into that lane further back into the intersection. Otherwise, that is not going to get used. Anything that's widened, if this is not widened in this location here, but it's widened down in this area, the tractor trailer is not going to maneuver, swing into that area, and then make the turn. It really needs to be a much smoother alignment, and that would really require the widening to take place back in this section of the roadway as well. On the
Couple of questions with the chair. My biggest concern is like you're saying, that, the tractor trailer is approximately, 70 feet long, give or take?
Yep.
So, yes, I agree with you that you can put it on paper, and we're sitting here saying that the driver needs to start making his turn farther back. Doesn't mean he's going to. The other thing is going to Jay's references, the mountable island, it's good, but it's not good because where is the protection? So now you have a driver who is maybe just got out of driving school and he's going to make this turn. So is there going to be any signage on this mountable island for left, right, all of that stuff? That's probably going to get wiped out once a week, guaranteed, because obviously you can't put any kind of protection to protect that sign. I see the tractor trailer mounting that island probably fully, wiping out those signs. No matter, and like Jay said, the only way that you're going to prevent all of that is widening the whole road, both sides, which one side we can't, the other side is questionable, and going to Jen's thought of removing the sidewalk and taking the whole is a great idea, but can we, Mike? Is that, it's there, so I know like she's saying that it's dead-ending now, so in the master plan, if you're gonna continue one up Washington Street on one side, there is a sidewalk on King Street now, so you're gonna just dead-end that, say at that corner intersection to widen the road, which is a great idea.
So through the chair, so you do have a crosswalk going across the end of Washington Street, right there, it's pointed out right there. So, I mean, if you were gonna eliminate the sidewalk beyond that, between that and the driveway, further up, that's not a problem, but you'd still want to at least maintain the wheelchair and pedestrian access going across the intersection there. So
Right.
you'd still need the sidewalk up to a certain point there.
So
So you could eliminate a portion of it, but it wouldn't be that much.
If you eliminate that sidewalk, what does it do to that driveway that's existing?
Again, well, the sidewalk stops right as you approach the driveway, so it wouldn't necessarily affect the
So
driveway.
there is no sidewalk beyond that driveway?
Correct. But you couldn't modify that driveway anymore than it
Because
already
it's
is.
steep
It's
as it
steep,
is.
and it goes
Right.
right down the problem.
Yeah, I know, it doesn't show in the Google either, but it just kind of dies there.
Through the chair,
That's a waste.
if I could make a comment. If you go back up, Dan, real quick. I just wanted to point out as I stare at this too, because we all want to find a solution. First of all, speaking for the applicant. If we maintain the crosswalk position, but eliminate the sidewalk that extends up toward the old Coles property, the fact of the matter is you still maintain the curb line position at the crosswalk. So you're still going to have the same issue with being unable to really dedicate a right turn lane because of the crosswalk. So you wouldn't necessarily stop at the crosswalk, then take 5 feet of the old sidewalk, and then start your lane. You have to taper everything out, it has to be smooth, has to be drivable.
You would have to start the sidewalk.
You'd have to, you'd end up
relocation
eliminating the sidewalk around the,
farther up to
correct,
start the
to
radius.
be able to
but-
do that.
But it's still doable, though.
Yeah, you'd have to really get out.
You'd have to get it closer to the Washington Street, the King Street side.
Right.
And then just, you're extending it out to gain what you're taking on the other side of it.
But again, through the chair, the other implications are relocating all the traffic control equipment that sits over on that side, which we understand to be part of the work. But the other item is the steepness of the driveway approach coming into the old Cole's Tavern property. And that cannot be ignored. That's about an 8-9% drive now, if not more. You take 5 more feet of that, there's going to be a significant grade change that's going to require work within that property in order to have a reasonable driveway access. And we're just calling it what it is. And without that, you wouldn't be able to do it. They wouldn't have probably safe access. You might have undercarriage, bottoming out issues and so forth. So it has to be looked at. If we're going to stay within the right-of-way, obviously, this is the plan that works. Mountable curbs are an option that are undertaken throughout the entire country. It's not Dan has a photograph of it. It's not an uncommon traffic element in terms of traffic control and so forth. We can study that other area. It's easy enough to do and come back to the board to explain the limitations of being able to do that. And if that makes sense to the applicant, the team can go back and do that and report back, and obviously work with Jacqueline and her team and Mike if there may need to be some intermediate discussion points regarding our assumptions about that. There's a lot of work that would have to go into doing that. And frankly, what we're proposing works. Again, Dan said it before. Of the monitored truck movements, there was a de minimis number that actually had a conflict. And when I say conflict, rolled over the curb. So I just want to make sure we point that out, that to Mr. David's point, he has a concern about the new truck driver that comes out. Well, in most design, we design for the percentile. You don't design for everything, but you design for what is most appropriate for traffic safety and function. And so I just asked the board to think about that, or at least consider that as they deliberate on this work.
Just to elaborate if I could, and that is the point, that this design takes into account that new driver that, needs a little bit more room for error.
Right, I have nothing against the mountable island at all. I mean, like Mr. Hartman said, they're all over the place. And, I probably went over part of it myself in some of the, turnings and stuff. But my concern is just seeing the signage being wiped out constantly because they are able to, because it's mountable, is what I'm getting at. And like I said, I'm not against it. I think it's a great idea to help the solution, but the concern would be how often and who is responsible to put that signage back. Is it the town, or would it be the applicant?
That'll have to fall back on the town as time goes.
Exactly.
Because it'll be down on King Street somewhere.
That would be my concern. So, if this gets through, should we put a condition in there that they're responsible for the signage?
Well, let's,
Just a thought.
Just to kind of follow up on what everyone else is saying here. I don't disagree with Jay down there that I'm not a huge fan of the mountable curb options, and I think I said that at the last meeting, but mountable curb, as you're saying, is something used all over the place. However, it's probably in intersections that aren't experiencing as much difficulty as this intersection is experienced, and then adding more trucks onto it. So that's my concern. So I'd like to see if you could just look into it a little bit more and maybe prove it a little bit more for us and get there with what we need to do to make this work. And then my other question through the chair would be to Jackie. Jackie, could you elaborate on your comment number, let's see, T8? I think you guys kind of went back and forth between MDM and Beta. I think one of your final comments, Beta, was information's been provided, but please elaborate on discrepancies between the Synchro and HCM analysis results for tables 6 and 7, how the Washington Street northbound approach to Union Street was determined to operate at level of service C during the peak morning, but the analysis results showed differing level of service C and level of service F. So I think when something says level service F, that scares me, because
Yes.
it's not working.
Yes.
So,
Exactly, so that's why I asked for some clarification on that and to put it in black and white.
Yeah.
So basically, with Synchro, with our traffic analysis tool that we use, we can analyze it as a two-way stop or a four-way stop, and that intersection is a three-way stop. So it was really a mix of results that they had to use to put together the table. So the table didn't show level of service F, but the analysis did, and that's why.
yeah.
So that's why they explained it in here. Yeah.
So is that comment still outstanding, or are you looking for additional information on that one? I guess I'm a little
That's-
confused, because it's in bold and it says provide more information.
The response on September 20th, they responded to that T8.
Oh, I guess I don't have that letter, I have September 14th, is that,
Oh, okay.
sorry.
From MDM.
It's in their
Yeah, with the
responses,
exhibits in it.
okay. All right, I missed that, sorry.
Yeah, so they just explained that, how they analyzed it. Which, based on the tools we have available, that's what we typically do.
Through,
So,
to
yeah.
add, for that specific question, Beth and Jackie, maybe you can clarify this. Is the response to that question saying that currently, at both peak morning and afternoon hours, the Washington Street southbound left turn movement onto King Street operates at a D under existing conditions, but go on to say it would now operate at a C, so an improvement during the morning peak, but maintain D during the afternoon peak. Is that
Yeah, I guess I was confused.
is that
Yeah.
correct? Is
I
that
have
the
to-
final kind of result?
Where does that say that?
So this is T8, and it's like, I don't know the numbered response. They're just like back and forth, back and forth.
Is that, I'm sorry, is that my review letter?
So your review
Or
letter,
is it, where's that response? Is that my comment, or is that the review
your
letter?
review
There's
letters.
so many.
This is Beta's document.
This is my, okay, so
Yeah.
September 14th, that
Yeah.
letter?
Your letter looks like it's still outstanding, and then you look at their answer, and I'm not sure I found the answer.
Yeah, I was looking for a little more detail, you
Yeah.
know, we had talked about it at the meeting, and I said, I understand what you're doing, but if you could just, you know, put it in black and white, and, because I did say, I'm like, the level of, you know, service F is very glaring, and we need to better understand that, so, so
Sorry,
Yeah, one more time?
we have noted on.
Oh, go ahead.
Sure. So just a couple points, if I can. So to that comment, it's a free-flow movement. It does not have a stop control. The way we need to analyze it, we need to do a staged model, and we need, under one set of models, we need to actually put a stop sign there. If a stop sign, and that's why that level service F is generated in the reporting, it's not going to operate level service F because it doesn't have a stop sign there. It's free flow. So that movement is not an F. It's just part of the iterative process we need to do because our models are limited to what we can, to a two-way stop and a four-way stop. And as Jackie said, we have a three-way stop at this intersection, so we got to do a hybrid model. If I could just jump back onto the King Street, Washington Street intersection, this figure here, there's actually a raised element to this. I'm not sure if it was confusing or not, but the majority of the island would continue to be raised with signs mounted on it. It's really the nose on either side that would be the flush part. So you'd have a vertical curb, 6-inch vertical curb, that would be installed.
Okay.
Yep.
So the red part is the mountable part, so that they could take, so that, of course, the trailer will roll over that and hopefully not hit the raised curb.
Exactly.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah. Then when they're rolling over the nose of it. They're not rolling over the half of the island.
Right.
The signs are there. They're not rolling over half of the island.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
So, yep, go ahead.
I have more questions beyond this, just the intersection itself and the turning. Just clarification that I'm looking for on the actual queuing and capacity related to this project in particular. So, through the chair, I guess my question is to Jackie. This is under T10. Looking at heavy vehicle percentages, existing versus build condition. And in bold, you wrote that the Q analysis indicates that the 95th percentile Q during the afternoon peak hour for Washington Street southbound left turn lane extends beyond the 100-foot storage length by up to 50 feet. So is what I'm hearing that independent of whether trucks can make that turn or not, because of the fact that there's only one lane available leading up to this intersection, no matter what, there's a queuing issue. Will that queuing be resolved through the improvement to the mitigation system or whatever it's called? Or is it going to continue to be an issue or be a worse issue even with those improvements to the detection systems?
Yeah, I believe that will continue. However, maybe as part of the conditions, we could do a post-monitoring study for them to tweak the timing accordingly as they see is happening in real time during the peak periods.
Okay.
To allow more time
For the trucks to
that
get
approach.
through, so that they're not like
You know, it's
backing
stacking.
up, right?
Yeah.
So is what I'm hearing that part of the current issue and would remain current issue with the intersection is that if that detection system is not improved, this is just gonna be a problem, but if it's improved either way, it should help to clear that intersection as often as possible so that queuing issue is not a problem any further.
Correct. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
And there are some other tweaks you can make in the
Okay.
controller to help make the intersection more snappy.
Yeah, and then, sorry, Greg, I have a lot of questions, but
Sure.
I've been saving them for tonight. So regarding, idling near Ivy Lane, which was indicated as a concern from residents, and you mentioned, the town could put up signs saying no parking. Through the chair, I guess the question to Mike, is it possible that beyond signs, like, is there anything site-wise? Is there a curb that could be put up, something that could be put up on the eastbound side of Washington Street, close to Ivy Lane, that would prevent anybody, trucks, cars, anybody at all from kind of pulling over off the street edge to prevent people from doing that?
Just pulling over and idling on
Yeah.
the side of the road. So
Continue
it,
the sidewalk.
Well, yes, continue the sidewalk. There you go, long-term plan,
or
right?
put a
It all comes
guardrail.
full circle.
and actually, that's what I was gonna
Yeah.
say, is the plan for the sidewalk would address that
Yeah.
on the east side, but part of the problem is with the sidewalk and the curb there, you run drainage issues you need to address, so that's why that sidewalk project is still in the works, because it's a much bigger issue once you add the curb there, that's not there now.
Yes, but if the long-term plan is
Yeah.
executed, that would address that because.
That would, as far as pulling over on the right, on the
So
northbound
it feels
side.
like that should be somehow part of this. if it were to move forward.
So could bollards be put in temporarily?
Let's just do this.
I'd be reluctant to do something like that on the side of the road, just because it creates a hazard, because then, I mean, maybe a guardrail or something like
just
that.
have
But
a
even-
guardrail.
But even the guardrail itself is a fixed object, that could be a hazard too. It's, the intent is for a guardrail to protect you against more dangerous objects, but the guardrail itself is something that somebody could easily run into also, so I'd be a little reluctant in that case. I mean, if the idling is an issue out there, I'd probably start with the signs and police
I
enforcement.
mean,
probably the first
obviously
step.
signage too would have to, could be helpful, you know.
If it's an ongoing issue, yeah.
No
something we could
stopping, no idling.
Jake breaks, all the fun
Yeah.
stuff.
Maybe have
There'll be
a conversation with
hours
the
of operation anyway, so, to a certain extent, but,
Okay.
all right, so it sounds as if, there's still some more work to be done. Jacqueline has to review the most updated information. I would probably recommend taking a look at the sidewalk, see what you can do with removing the sidewalk, pulling the handicap ramp towards the street to give you a little bit more space. I don't know if you entertain this, but maybe speak with the neighbor. Maybe she can get some, entrance work done on her property that could make this project work as well, so.
Do I get to, can I speak,
Yeah,
Mr.
you
Chairman?
will, yeah, let me finish first, and then you can
Okay.
keep going. So between Beta, Jackie, yourself, sidewalks, I think you've got quite a bit on the plate right now to continue, but maybe it's worth having a conversation with your budding neighbor. about trying to do some rework with some of that side of that street, if it's feasible, where the stone wall is, a couple, 4 or 5 feet if it's feasible. May improve her entrance to her property, which she may like. May make her property a little bit more advantageous to be sold. So if you had something to say, just
Yes.
approach the mic, please.
Maureen Sullivan,
Yep, just approach the mic,
abutting property,
just address and name, that's all.
I just did,
Yep.
the abutting property, and I am also the resident also at 871 King Street, which is not only the house just before where you want to take off the Palmer's Corner there, but I also have an easement with a driveway onto Washington Street. So I'm kind of a neighbor, no matter where you go, you have to go by me. Could I have permission to pass these out? These are, I made some copies that the town of Franklin did, I believe it was in 1980 when that property was first sold to the Digital Corporation, or when it was being leased out to Honeywell that used it for perk tests for a year before. Very informative, and just to let you know that Franklin works as best they can with companies. We don't want to see you fail. I certainly don't want to see you fail. But if you could take attention to the page where it says location and transportation, that your property right there is absolutely the dead center of the golden triangle of transportation. And that is between Boston is 28 miles from us, Worcester's 26, Providence is 26, all the airports. That right there, once that's opened up with 2 buildings, you're going to tear down a building that was put there for a completely different purpose. That property was not at that time okayed for trucking. Now you're going to take, I don't know what you're saying about the traffic, but none of that is actually true. You did your studies, and you're going to favor towards how you want them to say a little bit. You're not living there. People that live there 24 hours a day, they just tied some road down at the overpass on King Street, and they also did the property that the terror hole that's down on 275 Washington Street. Places were tied. There were new tied streets at the bottom of Washington Street at your other intersection at Union, thank you, and Washington. And there's tire tracks. So these are wearing off, they're coming up, and you can see the trucks. It was ridiculous. I have a bunch of pictures for future use. The tire, you can see at the one corner of the sidewalk where that telephone pole is, across the street from my property, had tar on it. There's chunks on the sidewalk, and it builds up so much, and then just chunks fall off after a while. That island was absolutely covered. Not only cars coming from, say, my property, which, by the way, I cannot use either one of my driveways. It's an absolute nightmare. One truck pulls to that light, and it completely covers my driveway. So I have to wait for that truck to leave, and then everybody that's angry behind them that can't go towards Woonsocket or up Washington Street because that truck has blocked the entire thing. And you've got a line all the way down Ivy Lane when those kids get out of school. To put a sensor on that with a camera where you can take pictures and it notarizes all, absolutely not. That is not going to happen. You've got colonial homes and whatnot all around there, and that light is dead center in front of 3 bedrooms in that house. No way. There's a limit to how much privacy you can invade it in on. Now, I can't use my driveways. I can't open a business. How am I going to get in? People are going to get killed. I try to come from my house on King Street to drive into that driveway, which that slant, by the way, was all done for when the Jefferson School went up there and the town okayed all of that, and whoever else was doing before Coles was there, all those troublesome people, that was all built around for whatever was bringing liquor into that place. It is no longer a liquor establishment, so the town of Franklin and everyone looks at it as it's not a business property, and it is. Just because I'm not driving 50, 60 cars out of it every day, I still pay the taxes on it every year, and I should be able to call up my friend down the street and say, come for a cup of tea, and they can't pull in the driveway. It's just ridiculous.
So that's
This is
why
an absolute no, this project, an absolute no, unless someone comes along. I have one party interested now in one lot.
Okay.
Just
So-
through the chair. Oh,
So
sorry.
that means the house comes down, because I have the plans for that property that are signed by the town of Franklin, that property, that house has to come down. It says right on it.
Okay.
So the house is coming down. This is an absolute
Go ahead.
no-go.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Through the chair, I was just going to note, if you should have 5 minutes of your time this sold, and I'd love to just have a conversation with you
I
afterwards.
would love that as
So,
well.
Great, appreciate it.
I think maybe some working could make it
Yeah,
work,
would
come
have
together.
thought that there
too.
would be a solution here, right, with, we understand that there is a lot going on at the intersection, so to the
It's
extent
not
that we can work
realistic,
together.
that's all there is, it's just
Well,
Appreciate that.
hear them out and see what you can do. Okay, so obviously this is gonna get continued. Amy?
23rd.
Well, what do you think for time, gentlemen?
We only have the 23rd.
Want to do the 23rd? You'll have enough time to make?
Yep.
Okay.
Or
So,
do you want to do engineering on the 23rd?
one more time?
We still have follow-up on engineering and then the follow-up on
Well, that's
trial.
why I'm asking, is there enough time?
Well, I would expect, through the chair, I would expect the engineering review to be not as complicated as we are here with the off-site traffic. Amy may have said that we did have a meeting. We went over not just the traffic items, but the site plan items, about the stormwater. And we'd agreed that High Point and Beta would continue to just maybe work informally so that our design assumptions on the stormwater are appropriate for a final submission and hopefully a sign-off from Beta at that time. I expect to be submitting that next week.
So do you want to do the drainage calcs and all that the 23rd, and then this gives you a little bit more time for the traffic and all the rework thereafter?
I'd like to cover both, Mr. Chairman.
If, I'm just asking if you have enough time, if Beta has enough time, and Jacqueline has enough time to react and whatnot, you know?
It's 4 weeks.
Yeah.
I believe we have enough time to,
I'd say ideally we try to cover both.
Jack?
Yep.
You think so? Okay. Mike? Okay, so let's do this. No, I don't see any hands waving. Anybody in Zoom land? I don't see any hands up, so. Okay. Make a continuation till October 23rd.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? Anybody have any general comment? No? No, good. Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everyone.